The crystal champagne flutes sat untouched on the white tablecloth, condensation pooling around their bases like tears. Naomi Bennett smoothed down her emerald green dress for the 100th time, her dark brown eyes fixed on the restaurant entrance. The waiter had passed by 3 times already, each glance more pitying than the last. Her phone screen glowed with the message she had sent 2 hours ago. "I'm here. Table 12. Our anniversary." 3 checkmarks showed Julian had read it. No response. 5 years ago she had walked down an aisle decorated with white roses and baby's breath, believing she was marrying a man who would cherish her. Julian Prescott, billionaire CEO of Prescott Technologies, had smiled at her that day with what she thought was love. The wedding had been featured in every major magazine. Their photo had graced the cover of Business Today with the headline, "Tech Titan Finds His Queen." But queens, Naomi had learned, could be forgotten in their own castles. She reached for her water glass, her hand trembling slightly. Around her, couples laughed and fed each other dessert. An older gentleman kissed his wife's wrinkled hand. A young couple giggled over shared pasta. And Naomi sat alone, a beautiful woman in a designer dress, celebrating a marriage that existed only on paper. The waiter approached again, his expression gentle. "Ma'am, would you like to order, or—" "Just a little longer," Naomi whispered, though she knew. She always knew. Julian would not come. There would be an email later, maybe tomorrow, with a brief apology. Something came up at work. You understand. She always understood. That was the problem. Her throat tightened as she remembered their first anniversary. She had cooked his favorite meal, worn the red dress he had once said he loved, lit candles throughout their penthouse. He had come home at midnight, eaten cold food standing at the counter while reading emails, and gone straight to his office. The candles had burned down to nothing. By their second anniversary she had learned to expect less. By their third she stopped expecting anything at all. The 4th anniversary she had not even mentioned it. Neither had he. But this year something in Naomi had cracked. She had made the reservation, bought a new dress, sent the message. She had hoped. Hope was a dangerous thing when you had been disappointed so many times. "Excuse me." A deep voice interrupted her thoughts. Naomi looked up to find a man standing beside her table. He was tall, with warm brown skin and kind eyes that crinkled at the corners. He wore a blue suit that fit him well but was not ostentatious. "I don't mean to intrude, but I noticed you've been waiting alone for quite some time. Are you all right?" Naomi felt her eyes burn with unshed tears. A stranger was showing her more concern than her own husband. "I'm fine, thank you." "Forgive me, but you don't look fine." He gestured to the empty chair across from her. "I'm Cameron Hayes. I just finished dinner with a client who spent the entire meal talking about himself. I'd much rather have spent it with someone who looks like they could use a friendly conversation." Something in his tone was not flirtatious or predatory. It was simply kind. And kindness was something Naomi had been starving for. "My husband was supposed to meet me," she heard herself say. "It's our anniversary." He forgot. Cameron's expression shifted to genuine sympathy. "Then your husband is a fool." Those simple words broke something open inside her. A tear slipped down her cheek before she could stop it. "I'm sorry, I shouldn't be crying to a stranger. Sometimes strangers are the easiest people to talk to." Cameron pulled out the chair and sat down, not presumptuous, but settling in as if giving her permission to not be alone. "How long have you been married?" 5 years today." Naomi wiped her eyes carefully, trying not to smudge her makeup. 5 years of this. 5 years is a long time to feel invisible. The words hit her like a physical blow because they were so accurate. Invisible. That was exactly what she felt like. She existed in Julian's world, but he did not see her. She managed his home, attended his events, wore the right clothes, said the right things. But he looked through her as if she were made of glass. "I keep thinking it will change," Naomi admitted. "That one day he'll look at me the way he used to when we were dating. But it's been so long, I'm starting to forget what that felt like." Cameron signaled the waiter. "Bring us 2 slices of your best chocolate cake and keep the champagne cold. If we're going to salvage this evening, we might as well do it properly." "You don't have to." "I want to." No one should spend their anniversary alone. He smiled at her and it was warm and real. "Tell me about yourself, Naomi." Not as someone's wife. Just you. And for the first time in 5 years someone asked about her. Not about Julian's schedule, not about which charity event she would attend, not about the latest business deal. Just her. Naomi found herself talking. About her love of painting, which she had not had time for in years. About the community center where she volunteered, teaching art to underprivileged children. About her dreams of opening a gallery someday. Cameron listened like her words mattered, asking questions and remembering details. The chocolate cake arrived and it was delicious. The evening that had started with such pain transformed into something unexpected. She laughed at Cameron's stories about his disastrous cooking attempts. She felt seen for the first time in longer than she could remember. When the restaurant began closing, Cameron walked her to her car. "Thank you," Naomi said sincerely. "You turned a terrible night into something bearable." "You deserve more than bearable, Naomi." Cameron handed her his business card. "If you ever need a friend or just someone to have coffee with, please call me." Naomi took the card, feeling something shift inside her. "Thank you, Cameron. Really." As she drove home to the penthouse she shared with a man who was probably still at his office, Naomi looked at the card in her hand. Cameron Hayes, CEO of Hayes Construction. A successful man who had taken time to be kind to a crying woman in a restaurant. The penthouse was dark when she arrived. Julian's assistant had sent a text an hour ago. "Mr. Prescott apologizes. Emergency board meeting. He'll be home late." Naomi walked through rooms that cost more than most people earned in a lifetime. Designer furniture, original artwork, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Everything was perfect and cold and empty. She stood in front of the mirror in her emerald dress, looking at the woman Julian could not be bothered to see. She was beautiful. She was kind. She deserved better than this. For 5 years she had made herself smaller, asked for less, accepted crumbs. She had believed that if she were patient enough, understanding enough, perfect enough, Julian would notice her again. But patience had its limits. Understanding could run dry. And perfection was exhausting when no one appreciated it. Naomi placed Cameron's card on her nightstand and changed into comfortable clothes. She did not wait up for Julian. She stopped waiting a long time ago. But something was different now. A seed had been planted. A stranger had shown her what basic human kindness looked like. And once you remembered what you were missing, it became harder to accept having nothing at all. Have you ever felt invisible to someone who was supposed to love you? If this story resonates with you, please subscribe and comment below with your thoughts. Have you experienced being taken for granted? How did you find your worth again? Your story might help someone else who's going through the same thing. Naomi woke to an empty bed, which was not unusual. Julian's side was perfectly made, suggesting he had not slept there at all. She checked her phone. No messages. No missed calls. No acknowledgement of last night's disaster. She made coffee in their pristine kitchen, the silence broken only by the expensive espresso machine's hum. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, the city stretched out below, people hurrying to work, living their lives. From up here they looked like toys. Sometimes Naomi felt like a toy herself, something Julian had acquired and then forgotten on a shelf. Her phone buzzed. Julian's assistant, Rebecca. "Good morning, Mrs. Prescott. Mr. Prescott asked me to apologize for missing dinner last night. The board meeting ran longer than expected. He's arranged for a gift to be delivered to the penthouse this afternoon. He hopes you'll understand." Naomi closed her eyes. This was always the pattern. Miss the event, send the gift, move on. Last year it had been diamond earrings. The year before, a designer handbag. Objects without thought, expensive consolations for emotional absence. "Thank you, Rebecca," Naomi said quietly. "Did he say when he would be home?" Pause. "He has meetings scheduled until 8 tonight, Mrs. Prescott. Then a dinner with investors. He said not to wait up." "Of course. Thank you, Rebecca." Naomi set down her coffee, no longer wanting it. She walked through the penthouse, room after room of expensive emptiness. The living room where they never spent time together. The dining room where they never ate. The home office she was not supposed to disturb. The master bedroom where Julian rarely slept. And her room. The small space she had claimed for herself, filled with art supplies and half-finished paintings. It was the only room that felt alive in this mausoleum. She changed into jeans and a bright red sweater, pulling her dark hair into a simple ponytail. If Julian was not coming home anyway, she would spend the day doing something that mattered to her. The community center was a 40-minute drive from their upscale neighborhood. Naomi had discovered it 3 years ago, looking for something to fill the endless empty hours. She had started volunteering, teaching art to children whose families could not afford private lessons. It had saved her. These kids, with their bright eyes and messy hands and unbridled creativity, reminded her why she had fallen in love with art in the first place. They did not care that she was married to a billionaire. They cared that she showed up, that she listened, that she helped them see the world in color. "Miss Naomi?" 7-year-old Tyler ran up to her the moment she entered. "Look what I made." He held up a painting of a spaceship, streaks of silver and blue across black paper. Tyler, this is beautiful, Naomi said, crouching to his level. Tell me about it. It's going to the moon to rescue astronauts who are stuck. See, this is the hero ship, and these are the windows where the astronauts will be safe. Every hero needs a good rescue plan, a familiar voice said. Naomi looked up to find Cameron Hayes standing nearby, wearing jeans and a green t-shirt with the community center's logo. He was carrying a toolbox. Cameron? Naomi stood surprised. What are you doing here? I volunteer here too. My company donates construction work and I help with repairs. He smiled. Looks like we have more in common than a love of chocolate cake. Tyler tugged at Naomi's sleeve. Is he your friend, Miss Naomi? Yes, he is, Naomi said and realized it felt true. In one evening, Cameron had shown her more friendship than she had experienced in years. Cool. Can he help us build the art supply shelves? Miss Patricia said we need new ones. Cameron knelt down to Tyler's height. I think that's an excellent project. What do you think, should they be red or blue? Both, Tyler declared. Like my spaceship. Both it is. Cameron stood and caught Naomi's eye. It's good to see you again. How are you doing? The simple question, asked with genuine care, made Naomi's throat tight. Better than last night. Thank you again for that. Any word from your husband? His assistant apologized on his behalf. There's a gift being delivered later. Cameron's jaw tightened slightly but his voice remained gentle. A gift is not the same as his presence. No. But it's what I get. They stood there for a moment, the sounds of children playing and laughing filling the space between them. Tyler had run off to show his painting to other kids, leaving them alone. Naomi, I hope I'm not overstepping, but you deserve more than this. You know that, right? Did she? Sometimes it was hard to remember. I made a commitment. Marriage is supposed to be forever. Marriage is supposed to be a partnership. What you described last night doesn't sound like any kind of partnership I'd recognize. Cameron shifted his toolbox. Listen, I meant what I said. If you ever need a friend, I'm here. No pressure, no expectations. Just someone who thinks you're worth having a conversation with. Before Naomi could respond, Patricia, the center's director, called out. Cameron, the sink in the back bathroom is leaking again. Duty calls. Cameron smiled at Naomi. I'll be around if you need anything. As he walked away, Naomi felt that same shift inside her from last night. Cameron saw her. Really saw her. And once you experience being seen, it became harder to accept being invisible. She spent the morning with the children, helping them mix colors and find their creative voices. A little girl named Sophie painted her family, everyone holding hands under a bright yellow sun. The simple image made Naomi ache for something she did not have. During lunch break, Cameron found her sitting outside on a bench, eating a sandwich from the center's small kitchen. Mind if I join you? He asked. Please. Naomi moved her bag to make room. They ate in comfortable silence for a few minutes, watching kids play basketball in the court nearby. It was easy being with Cameron. He did not demand anything from her. He just was. Can I ask you something? Cameron said eventually. And feel free to tell me, it's none of my business. Go ahead. Why did you marry him? Naomi had asked herself that question 1,000 times. Julian wasn't always like this. When we were dating, he was attentive and romantic. He took me to art galleries and remembered my favorite flowers. He told me I was beautiful and brilliant and that he wanted to build a life with me. What changed? The wedding ring went on my finger and it was like a switch flipped. Suddenly, I was just another box checked on his life plan. Wife, acquired. Time to focus on business again. She took a breath. Or maybe that's who he always was, and I just didn't see it because I was so in love with the idea of being loved. That's not your fault, Naomi. He misrepresented himself. He made promises he didn't keep. I keep thinking if I'm patient enough, he'll remember why he married me. If I'm understanding about his work, if I support his career, if I'm the perfect wife, he'll see me again. Cameron turned to face her fully. How long are you willing to wait? 5 more years? 10? The rest of your life? The question hung in the air like a weight. How long? She was 30 years old. She had given Julian 5 years already. How many more years would she sacrifice, hoping for someone to appreciate her? I don't know, she admitted. You should know. You should demand to know. Cameron's voice was passionate but kind. You're an incredible person, Naomi. I learned that in one evening. The fact that your husband hasn't learned it in 5 years says everything about him and nothing about you. Naomi felt tears prick her eyes again. Why did this man's kindness make her cry more than Julian's neglect? "I'm sorry," Cameron said quickly. "I'm coming on too strong. This is your life, your marriage. I have no right to." "No, you're right." Naomi wiped her eyes. I've never heard anyone say those things before. Julian's family thinks I should be grateful to be married to someone so successful. My own mother says I'm lucky. Everyone acts like I should just accept being lonely because at least I'm rich. Being rich doesn't make you less lonely. Sometimes it makes you more lonely because people assume you have no right to be unhappy. Exactly. Naomi felt understood in a way she had not experienced in years. Thank you, Cameron. For seeing me. For caring enough to say something. Of course I care. Any decent person would. But that was just it. Julian was supposed to be more than a decent person. He was supposed to be her husband, her partner, her love. And he cared less about her well-being than a man she had just met. Naomi's phone buzzed. A text from Rebecca. Gift delivered. Enjoy. She did not need to go home to know what it was. Something expensive and impersonal. Something that said, "I'm sorry," without Julian having to actually be sorry. "Everything okay?" Cameron asked. The gift arrived. My consolation prize for being stood up on my anniversary. Cameron's expression was troubled. "Naomi, I don't want to cause problems in your marriage." "You're not causing anything. These problems existed long before I met you." She stood, brushing crumbs from her jeans. "I should get back to the kids. They're doing self-portraits this afternoon." "That sounds wonderful. I'll be around if you need anything." As Naomi walked back inside, she thought about self-portraits. Looking at yourself clearly, capturing your truth. When was the last time Julian had really looked at her clearly? When was the last time he had seen her truth? The afternoon flew by in a blur of paint and laughter. The children's joy was infectious. By the time Naomi packed up to leave, she felt more alive than she had in months. Cameron was loading his tools into his truck when she walked out. "Heading home?" he asked. "To an empty penthouse, yes. That's not a home. That's just a building." He was right. A home required warmth, connection, love. The penthouse had none of those things. "Drive safe, Naomi." Cameron closed his truck bed. "I'll see you next week?" "I'll be here. Same time." As she drove home, Naomi thought about the difference between last night's despair and today's cautious hope. Last night, she had been alone in a restaurant, forgotten and invisible. Today, she had been surrounded by children who loved her and a new friend who saw her worth. The gift was waiting when she got home. A large box from an expensive jewelry store, delivered with white gloves and a bow. Naomi opened it to find a sapphire necklace that probably cost more than most people's cars. There was a note in Julian's assistant's handwriting. "Sorry about last night. You deserve beautiful things." Naomi held the necklace up to the light. It was stunning. It was also meaningless. She set it back in the box and closed the lid. Then she walked to her art room and pulled out a fresh canvas. She mixed paints until she found the perfect shade of emerald green, the color of the dress she had worn last night. And she began to paint. Not the sad woman in the restaurant. Not the invisible wife. But the woman she could become. The woman who knew her worth. The woman who deserved more than expensive apologies. The painting took shape slowly, her hands remembering rhythms she had almost forgotten. Creating something from nothing. Seeing possibility where others saw only blank space. Maybe that was what she needed to do with her life. Stop accepting the blank spaces Julian left and start creating something beautiful on her own. It was nearly midnight when Julian finally came home. Naomi heard the door open, heard his footsteps heading straight to his office. Not to find her. Not to apologize in person. Just to his office, his real priority. She kept painting. 10 minutes later, his office door closed. She heard the lock click. He would sleep on the couch in there like he often did. Naomi painted until her eyes grew heavy. When she finally went to bed, she left the sapphire necklace in its box on the dining room table. Unopened. Unappreciated. Just like her. Monday morning arrived with its usual routine. Julian left for work before Naomi woke up. His coffee cup sat in the sink, the only evidence he had been home at all. No note. No conversation. No acknowledgement of the necklace still sitting in its box. Naomi made herself breakfast and reviewed her week. Monday and Wednesday at the community center. Tuesday, a charity luncheon for literacy programs. Thursday, a board meeting for the Children's Hospital where she served as a volunteer coordinator. Friday, the annual gala for arts education, which she had helped organize but would attend alone. Her phone rang. Julian's mother, Patricia Prescott. "Naomi, darling. How was your anniversary? Naomi considered lying. Would be easier. Julian had to work. Of course he did. That boy is so dedicated. Patricia's tone held approval. Did you get the necklace? I helped Rebecca pick it out. Sapphires suit you. So even the gift was not Julian's choice. It's lovely, Patricia. Thank you. You're very welcome, dear. Now about the gala Friday. You'll be wearing the Oscar de la Renta, I assume? The blue one. It's appropriate for your position. Your position. Not as Julian's wife, but as an accessory to his success. A well-dressed, well-behaved ornament. Actually, I was thinking of wearing something different. The blue one, Naomi. Patricia's voice turned firm. People expect a certain standard. You represent the Prescott name now. Naomi closed her eyes. 5 years of this. 5 years of being told what to wear, where to appear, how to smile. The Prescott name came with expectations, and Naomi was expected to meet them without complaint. Of course, Patricia. The blue dress. Wonderful. I'll see you there. Oh, and Naomi? Do try to look happy. I know Julian works long hours, but that's what successful men do. You understood that when you married him. Had she? At 25, Naomi had been so swept up in Julian's attention that she had not thought about what marriage to a workaholic would actually mean. She had thought love would be enough. She had been wrong. After the call ended, Naomi stared at her calendar. Every event marked in neat handwriting. Every obligation fulfilled. She was the perfect wife on paper. She attended the right parties, supported the right causes, wore the right clothes. But she was dying inside. The community center that afternoon felt like coming up for air. Tyler ran to show her a drawing of his family at the beach. Sophie asked for help mixing the perfect shade of purple. A teenager named Marcus, who usually kept to himself, shyly showed her his attempt at a landscape. This is really good, Marcus, Naomi said, studying the careful brushstrokes. You have a strong sense of perspective. You think so? His face lit up. I've been watching videos online trying to learn. You're doing great. Keep practicing. She handed the painting back. Have you thought about art school? His expression dimmed. Can't afford it, Miss Naomi. I'll probably work construction after I graduate like my dad. There are scholarships, grants, programs specifically for talented students who need financial help. Naomi pulled out her phone. Give me your email. I'll send you some resources. Really? You do that? Of course. Talent like yours shouldn't go to waste just because of money. Marcus's smile could have lit up the room. As he walked away, eagerly typing his email into Naomi's phone, Cameron appeared beside her. That was kind of you, he said. It's not kind. It's basic human decency. He has talent. He should have opportunities. Most people wouldn't take the time. Naomi shrugged. Most people didn't grow up like I did. My family didn't have money for art classes. A teacher paid for me to attend weekend workshops out of her own pocket. She saw something in me and decided to invest. I'm just paying that forward. Cameron studied her thoughtfully. You don't talk much about your background. People assume that because I married Julian, I came from money. I didn't. My father was a postal worker. My mother cleaned houses. I got into art school on a full scholarship. She smiled wryly. Patricia still doesn't know that. She thinks I came from some respectable middle-class family. If she knew the truth, she'd probably have a heart attack. Does Julian know? I told him when we were dating. He said it didn't matter, that he loved me for who I was, not where I came from. Naomi's voice turned bitter. Turns out he loved the idea of me. Once I was actually his wife, he lost interest in who I actually am. His loss. Cameron said it simply, like a fact. They worked side by side that afternoon, Cameron repairing shelves while Naomi taught painting techniques. Every so often their eyes would meet across the room, and Naomi felt that same sense of being seen. It was becoming addictive, that feeling. Dangerous maybe, but also essential. She had been invisible for so long that being noticed felt like sunlight after years in darkness. That evening, Naomi returned home to find Julian actually present. He sat in the living room with his laptop, typing furiously. He looked up when she entered. "Oh, you're home," he said, as if surprised to find his wife in their shared residence. "I live here," Naomi replied. "Right. Yes. Of course." Julian's attention was already back on his screen. "How was your day?" It was a reflex question, asked without any real interest in the answer. Naomi could have said, "I robbed a bank," and he would have responded, "That's nice, dear." "Fine. Yours?" "Busy. Always busy." He typed a few more words. Oh, did you get the necklace?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good. Good.
You'll wear it to the gala Friday? So that was why he had given it to her. Not as an apology for missing their anniversary, but as something for her to wear to his event. Everything was transactional with Julian. Even gifts. Patricia wants me to wear the blue dress, Naomi said.
That's fine.
Whatever she thinks is best. Julian stood, closing his laptop. I have a conference call in 10 minutes. Don't wait up tonight. He walked past her without a kiss, without a touch, without any acknowledgement that she was a human being who might need connection. Naomi watched him disappear into his office. The door closed. The lock clicked. She stood alone in their living room, surrounded by expensive furniture and art pieces that Julian's decorator had selected. Nothing in this space reflected her taste, her personality, her existence. She was a ghost in her own home. Her phone buzzed. A text from Cameron, thanks for today. The kids really love you. Hope your evening is better than your weekend. Such a simple message. But it meant more than Julian's expensive necklace because it came from someone who actually thought about her well-being. Naomi texted back, thank you. Hope yours is good too. She hesitated, then added, you were right. A home should have warmth. This building doesn't. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. You deserve warmth, Naomi. Don't forget that. She saved the message. That night she painted again. Another canvas, this time in shades of blue and gray. The colors of loneliness. The colors of a woman slowly fading away in a marriage that only existed on paper. When she finally went to bed at midnight, Julian's office light was still on. She did not knock. She did not check on him. She had learned that his work would always be more important than her presence. She lay in their king-sized bed, alone, staring at the ceiling. 5 years. She had given Julian 5 years of patience, understanding, and accommodation. 5 years of shrinking herself to fit into his life. 5 years of accepting scraps when she deserved a feast. How many more years would she give? Cameron's question echoed in her mind. She thought of the kids at the community center, who greeted her with hugs and genuine excitement. She thought of Marcus, whose face had lit up at the possibility of pursuing his dreams. She thought of Cameron, who barely knew her but treated her with more consideration than her own husband. And she thought of Julian, locked in his office, probably not even remembering she was in the next room. Something was shifting inside her. A slow earthquake, barely perceptible at first but growing stronger. She could feel fault lines cracking, foundations she had built her life on beginning to crumble. Change was coming. She could sense it like a storm on the horizon. The question was whether she would be brave enough to face it. Friday arrived with perfect weather for the gala. Naomi spent the day preparing not because she wanted to, but because it was expected. Hair appointment at 2. Manicure at 4. The blue Oscar de la Renta dress laid out like a costume she was required to wear. Rebecca called at noon. Mrs. Prescott, Mr. Prescott will meet you at the venue. He's been in meetings all day and won't have time to come home first. Of course he would not. That's fine, Rebecca. He asked me to remind you to wear the sapphire necklace. It complements the dress. Everything choreographed. Everything planned. The perfect CEO and his perfect wife, putting on a perfect show. Naomi arrived at the Grand Metropolitan Hotel at 7. The ballroom glittered with crystal chandeliers and elaborate floral arrangements. 500 guests mingled, champagne glasses in hand, checking their phones and comparing stock portfolios while pretending to care about arts education. Patricia Prescott descended on Naomi immediately. You look lovely, dear. Very appropriate. The necklace is perfect. Thank you, Patricia. Julian is networking near the bar. You should join him, but don't interrupt. Just stand nearby and smile. Look supportive. Stand nearby and smile. That could be the title of Naomi's autobiography. She made her way through the crowd, greeting people she knew from various charity circuits. Everyone complimented her dress, her jewelry, her hair. No one asked how she was really doing. Surface pleasantries for surface relationships. Julian stood near the bar with 3 other men in expensive suits, deep in conversation about market trends and acquisition strategies. Naomi approached and stood at the edge of their circle, as instructed. Julian glanced at her briefly, nodded acknowledgement, and continued talking without including her. She was a prop. A beautiful, well-dressed prop. 30 minutes passed. Naomi's feet hurt in her heels. Her smile felt painted on. Julian had not spoken to her beyond that initial nod. If you'll excuse me, she murmured, though no one was actually talking to her. She escaped to the silent auction tables, grateful for something to do. The items were impressive: vacation packages, art pieces, exclusive experiences. Naomi studied a painting that had been donated, admiring the technique even as she noted its flaws. "That's a beautiful piece, isn't it?" Naomi turned to find Cameron Hayes standing beside her. Her heart did an unexpected skip. He wore a black suit that fit him perfectly, but what struck her was his warm smile. Genuine pleasure at seeing her. "Cameron, I didn't know you were coming tonight. My company bought a table. Supporting arts education is important." His eyes scanned her face. "You look stunning, but you don't look happy. Is it that obvious?" To anyone who's actually looking at you, yes. They studied the painting together, a safe excuse to stand close. Naomi was aware of eyes on them, the whispers starting. Cameron Hayes, successful in his own right but not from their usual circle, talking to Julian Prescott's wife. "How does it feel?" Cameron asked quietly. "Being here? Like being on display in a museum. Look but don't touch. Admire but don't engage. That's no way to live. It's the way I've been living for 5 years." Cameron was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Naomi, would you like to dance?" The ballroom had a small dance floor where a few couples swayed to soft jazz. Naomi glanced toward Julian. He was still deep in conversation, having not noticed she had left his side. "I shouldn't." "Why not? You're allowed to enjoy yourself at a party." He was right. She was allowed. She paid her dues, played her part. Why shouldn't she have one moment of pleasure? "Yes," Naomi said, surprising herself. "I'd like to dance." Cameron offered his arm and led her to the floor. His hand settled at her waist, warm and sure. Her hand rested on his shoulder. They began to sway to the music, and it felt like the first real breath Naomi had taken all evening. "Better?" Cameron asked. "Much better." They danced without talking, just moving together to the rhythm. Naomi felt the tension drain from her shoulders. Here in Cameron's arms, she did not have to be perfect. She could just be. The song ended and transitioned into another. They kept dancing. "Naomi, I need to tell you something," Cameron said softly. "And I hope I'm not overstepping." "What is it?" "I can't stop thinking about you. Since that night at the restaurant, you've been on my mind constantly. The way you try to see the best in people, the way you light up with those kids, the way you deserve so much more than you're getting." Naomi's breath caught. "Cameron, I know you're married. I respect that. But I also see how your husband treats you, and it makes me angry. Not at you but at the situation. You're this incredible woman and he's letting you waste away. I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything. I just needed you to know that someone sees you. Really sees you. And thinks you're remarkable." They had stopped moving, standing still on the dance floor while other couples swayed around them. Naomi looked up into Cameron's eyes and saw something she had not seen directed at her in so long. Genuine admiration. Desire. Care. "May I do something?" Cameron asked. "Something that might cause trouble but feels important?" "What?" "Tomorrow I'd like to send you flowers. Publicly. Not hiding, not apologizing. I want everyone to know that someone appreciates you." Naomi's heart pounded. "That will cause gossip." "I hope it causes more than gossip. I hope it causes your husband to wake up and realize what he has." It was bold. It was presumptuous. It was exactly what Naomi needed someone to do. "Okay," she whispered. "Yes." Cameron smiled, brilliant and warm. "Thank you for the dance, Naomi." He walked her back to the silent auction tables, gave a polite nod and disappeared into the crowd. Naomi stood there, her pulse racing, feeling more alive than she had in years. She did not notice Julian approaching until he was right beside her. "Who was that?" he asked, his tone strange. Naomi looked at her husband. Really looked at him. When was the last time he had asked her a direct question about her life? "A friend. Cameron Hayes." "You danced with him?" "Yes." The floor was open for dancing. People were watching. People are always watching. That's what these events are for. Julian frowned, something flickering across his face that Naomi could not quite read. "I don't know him." "How do you know him?" "We volunteer together at the community center." "The place where you do that art thing?" "That art thing." Her passion reduced to a dismissive phrase. "Yes, Julian. That place where I teach children to paint. Where I spend hours every week because I need something in my life that matters." He looked taken aback by her tone. She sounded different even to herself. Stronger. Less willing to accommodate. "I just think you should be careful," Julian said. "About appearances. About who you're seen with." "You mean I should stand silently by your side, smile when told, and never do anything that might draw attention?
That's not what I meant. Isn't it?
That's what I've been doing for 5 years, Julian. Being the perfect, invisible wife. You're being dramatic.
Am I?
Tell me, what do I do on Mondays? Julian stared at her.
What? Mondays?
Where do I go? What do I do? He opened his mouth, closed it. You have activities. I volunteer at the community center. I teach painting to underprivileged children. I've been doing it for 3 years. You've never asked about it. You don't know any of their names. You don't even know what time I leave or when I come home. I've been busy. You've been busy for 5 years. Naomi's voice remained calm, but there was steel underneath. You've been so busy that you forgot our anniversary. So busy that you send gifts through your assistant. So busy that you don't know anything about my life beyond what dress I'm wearing tonight. Naomi, this isn't the place. Then when is? When would be a good time for you to pay attention to your wife? Schedule it with Rebecca. Maybe she can fit me in between board meetings. She walked away before he could respond, her hands trembling with adrenaline. She had never spoken to Julian like that. Never pushed back. Never demanded to be seen. It felt terrifying and liberating at the same time. Patricia appeared, her expression tight. Naomi, is everything all right? People are staring. Let them stare. Naomi. Excuse me, Patricia. I need some air. She escaped to the terrace, gulping the cool night air. Her hands shook. Her heart raced. She had just shattered 5 years of careful politeness, and she did not regret it at all. Her phone buzzed. A text from Cameron. You were brave in there. I'm proud of you. He had seen the confrontation. And instead of being embarrassed, he was proud of her. Naomi leaned against the railing, looking out at the city lights. Somewhere down there, people were having real conversations. Real relationships. Real lives. And up here she was done pretending. Tomorrow Cameron would send flowers. Everyone would gossip. Julian would have to acknowledge that his wife existed. And maybe, just maybe, that would finally change something. Saturday morning arrived with unexpected silence. Naomi woke to find Julian sitting on the edge of their bed, still wearing his tuxedo pants and white shirt from last night. He looked exhausted. We need to talk, he said. Naomi sat up, pulling her robe around her. Okay. Last night. What you said. That wasn't fair. What part wasn't fair, Julian? The part where I pointed out you forgot our anniversary? The part where I mentioned you don't know what I do with my time? Which truth upset you? He ran a hand through his hair. I work hard for us. For this life. Everything I do is so you can have nice things, live comfortably. I don't need nice things, Julian. I need a husband. I need someone who notices I exist. I notice. Do you? What's my favorite color? He hesitated. Blue. Green. I've always loved green. You'd know that if you'd ever asked or paid attention to what I choose to wear when I'm not being told what to wear. This is ridiculous. What's my favorite book? What kind of music do I listen to? What's the name of even one child I teach at the community center? Naomi watched him struggle to answer questions he should know effortlessly. You can't answer any of those, can you? I've been focused on work. For 5 years. You've been focused on work for our entire marriage. Naomi's voice was calm now, past anger into something colder. I accepted it. I accommodated it. I made myself smaller and smaller, trying not to be a burden on your precious schedule. But last night, a man I barely know showed me more consideration in one dance than you've shown me in years. Julian's expression shifted, something darkening in his eyes. That guy. Cameron. His name is Cameron Hayes. He owns a construction company. He volunteers his time helping people. And yes, he notices I'm alive. Are you? Julian's jaw tightened. Are you having an affair? Naomi almost laughed. No, Julian. I'm not. I've been faithful to you despite the fact that you treat me like furniture. But I've also realized something important. What? I deserve better than this. I deserve to be seen. I deserve conversations and attention and basic human consideration. And if you can't give me those things, maybe this marriage was a mistake. The words hung in the air between them. Julian stared at her as if she had spoken a foreign language. You don't mean that, he said finally. Don't I? What exactly am I getting from this marriage, Julian? Money? I never cared about money. Status? I don't enjoy these society events. What am I getting that makes being invisible worth it? You're my wife. In name only. We don't talk. We don't spend time together. We barely live in the same space. How is that a marriage? Julian stood, pacing to the window. I've been building something. The company is on the verge of major expansion. This year is critical. Every year is critical. Every deal is important. Every meeting is urgent. When does it end, Julian? When do I matter more than your stock portfolio? He turned to face her, and for the first time in years, Naomi saw actual emotion in his eyes. Fear. Are you saying you want a divorce?
Did she?
The word felt huge, terrifying. But also, freeing.
I'm saying something needs to change.
Fundamentally change. Because I can't keep living like this. Before Julian could respond, the doorbell rang. They both froze. Are you expecting someone? Julian asked.
No.
He left the bedroom. Naomi heard him open the door, heard a brief exchange of voices. Then silence. Curious, she got up and walked to the living room. Julian stood in the doorway, holding the most spectacular bouquet of flowers Naomi had ever seen. Red roses, white lilies, purple orchids, all arranged in a crystal vase. A small card was attached. Julian's face was stone. There for you. Naomi took the vase, her hands trembling slightly. She opened the card and read Cameron's neat handwriting. For a remarkable woman who deserves to be celebrated every day. Thank you for reminding me that kindness still exists in the world. With admiration, Cameron Hayes. Let me see that, Julian said, his voice tight. Naomi handed him the card. She watched his jaw clench as he read it. This is inappropriate, Julian said.
Why?
He's thanking me for being kind. That's inappropriate. He's sending flowers to a married woman. You send flowers to married women all the time. I've signed thank you cards on your behalf to dozens of clients' wives. That's different. That's business. And maybe this is friendship. Maybe it's appreciation. Maybe it's someone acknowledging that I exist as a human being worthy of nice gestures. Julian set the card down, his hands clenched into fists. You're encouraging this. I'm accepting a gift with gratitude, which is what you always told me to do at charity events. Always accept gifts graciously, Naomi. It's good manners. That's not the same. Isn't it? Or is it only different because suddenly you're paying attention? The realization seemed to hit Julian like a physical blow. His wife had been invisible for so long that it took another man's attention to make him actually see her. You're trying to make me jealous, he said. No, Julian. I'm trying to survive. If your jealousy is a side effect, that's on you. Naomi carried the flowers to her art room and set them on the windowsill where morning light could reach them. They were beautiful. They were thoughtful. They were everything Julian's expensive necklace was not. When she returned to the living room, Julian was on his phone, typing furiously. I'm canceling my golf game, he announced. We're spending the day together. Julian?
No. You're right.
I've been neglectful. So today we'll spend time together. Just us. It should have made her happy. This was what she had wanted for 5 years. But now it felt wrong. Like he was going through motions because another man had shown interest, not because he genuinely wanted to be with her.
Why? Naomi asked.
Why now? Because. Julian struggled for words. Because you're my wife. That's not a reason. That's a title. Because I don't want to lose you. You've already lost me, Julian. The woman you married disappeared 3 years ago because you stopped noticing her. I don't know if you can find her again.
Let me try.
Please. There was desperation in his voice that Naomi had never heard before. It should have moved her. Instead, she felt numb. Fine, she said. What did you have in mind? Whatever you want. Your choice. When was the last time her choice had mattered? The art museum, Naomi said. There's a new exhibition on contemporary African American artists. I've wanted to see it for weeks. Julian's face flickered with something, brief disappointment maybe, before he nodded. The art museum it is. They drove in Julian's Tesla, silence stretching between them. He kept glancing at her as if seeing her for the first time. Naomi looked out the window watching the city pass by. The museum was peaceful on a Saturday morning. They bought tickets and began walking through the exhibition. The artwork was stunning, pieces that spoke to identity, struggle, triumph, and joy. Naomi felt each painting like a conversation. This one, she stopped in front of a large canvas, a woman's face fragmented into pieces, each section a different shade of brown. It's about being seen as parts instead of a whole person. Just pieces of what people expect you to be. Julian studied the painting, then looked at her. Is that how you feel?
Yes.
You see me as Julian Prescott's wife. The piece that completes your successful life picture. But you don't see all of me. The artist, the teacher, the person who has dreams and thoughts and needs. I want to see all of you, Julian said quietly.
Do you?
Or do you just want to see enough to make sure Cameron Hayes doesn't?
That's not fair.
Fair would have been you noticing me before someone else did. They moved through the exhibition, Naomi explaining techniques and meanings while Julian tried to engage. But it felt forced. He was present physically but not emotionally. He checked his phone 3 times. He glanced at his watch twice. Finally, Naomi said, "You have somewhere else you'd rather be."
No, I'm here. I'm with you. Your body is here.
Your mind is already at Monday's meeting. Julian had the grace to look guilty. It's hard to turn off the work brain. You've had 5 years of practice. It should be effortless by now. They finished the exhibition and had lunch at the museum cafe. Julian ordered for both of them without asking what Naomi wanted. She did not correct him. What was the point? Tell me about the community center, Julian said, attempting conversation. What do you teach there? Naomi sipped her water.
Basic painting techniques. Color theory. Perspective.
How to see the world as artists see it.
Do you enjoy it?
It's the only thing that makes me feel like myself anymore. Julian flinched.
Naomi. You asked.
I'm being honest.
I'm trying here. I really am. I know.
But trying is not the same as caring. You're going through motions because you're supposed to, not because you actually want to.
That's not true. Isn't it?
If Cameron hadn't sent those flowers, would we be here right now? Would you have canceled golf and spent the day with me? Julian did not answer. They both knew the truth. After lunch, they returned to the penthouse. Julian's phone was ringing before they even got through the door. I need to take this, he said, disappearing into his office. Naomi stood alone in the living room, Cameron's flowers bright on her windowsill. She texted him, "Thank you for the flowers. They're beautiful." His response came quickly, "You're welcome. How's your day?" "Complicated. Want to talk about it?" She did. She wanted to tell someone about this awkward attempt at connection, about Julian's forced attention, about feeling more alone with her husband than she did by herself. But that felt like crossing a line she had not quite crossed yet. "Maybe later," she texted back. "I'm here whenever you need me." And that was the difference. Cameron was there when she needed him. Julian was there when it was convenient. That evening, Julian emerged from his office around 8. "I ordered dinner. It should be here soon."
Okay.
Naomi, about today. I know it wasn't perfect. It wasn't real, Julian. You were playing the role of attentive husband because someone else reminded you that you have a wife. I'm trying to do better. Trying is not the same as changing. Wake me up when you actually change. She went to bed early, leaving Julian alone in the living room. She heard him moving around, heard his frustrated sigh, heard his office door close again. The cycle would continue. A few days of attention, then back to being invisible. Unless Julian actually did the work to change, nothing would be different. As Naomi drifted off to sleep, she thought of Cameron's flowers. Such a simple gesture. But it meant everything because it came from someone who saw her, valued her, wanted to make her happy. She deserved that. She deserved to be celebrated. And if Julian could not do it, maybe it was time to find someone who could. If you've ever questioned your worth in a relationship, you're not alone. Sometimes we need an outside perspective to see what we've been accepting. Have you subscribed yet? This story gets deeper, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What would you do in Naomi's situation? Monday morning came with relief. Naomi could escape to the community center, back to a place where she felt valued. Julian had left early again, leaving only a note. "Let's talk tonight. Please." She crumpled the note and threw it away. The kids greeted her with their usual enthusiasm. Tyler showed her a new space drawing. Sophie needed help with shading techniques. Marcus reported that he had applied for 3 scholarship programs Naomi had recommended. "That's wonderful, Marcus," Naomi said, genuinely proud. "You're going to do great things." "Because you believed in me," he said simply. Such simple words, but they filled Naomi's heart in a way Julian's expensive gifts never could. Being seen, being valued for who you were and what you contributed, that was what mattered. Cameron arrived mid-morning, carrying lumber for new easels he was building. When he saw Naomi, his face lit up with genuine happiness. "Good morning," he said. "How was the rest of your weekend?"
Awkward.
Julian spent Saturday trying to be attentive. It was like watching someone follow a manual on how to be a husband. Cameron set down the lumber. "Want to get coffee after this? Actually talk about it?" Naomi should have said no. She should have maintained distance. But she was tired of doing what she should do instead of what she wanted to do.
"Yes, I like that."
Thank you. They finished their volunteer shifts and walked to a small cafe 2 blocks away. It was nothing fancy, just a neighborhood place with good coffee and comfortable chairs. Cameron ordered them both lattes and found a quiet corner table. "So," he said, settling into his chair.
"Tell me."
Naomi wrapped her hands around her warm cup.
"Julian noticed me. Finally. Because you sent flowers."
"Not because he suddenly cared, but because another man showed interest."
"That bothers you."
"Of course it bothers me. I've been trying to get his attention for 5 years with patience and understanding and perfect behavior. You send one bouquet and suddenly I matter."
"You always mattered, Naomi."
"He just wasn't looking." Which brings up the question, if someone has to be pushed into seeing you, do they really see you at all? Or are they just reacting to the threat of losing their possession? Cameron considered this. "I think some people need a wake-up call. They get comfortable, take things for granted. Sometimes external pressure makes them realize what they have." But is that sustainable? Will he stay attentive, or will this just be temporary until he feels secure again?
"I don't know.
People can change if they're motivated. The question is whether Julian is motivated by keeping you or by winning against a perceived rival."
Naomi sipped her latte.
"You're very wise for someone who just met me.
I pay attention.
And I think you already know the answer to your own question. You just don't want to face it yet."
He was right. She did know.
Julian was motivated by competition, not love. He wanted to win, not to change. "Can I ask you something?"
Naomi said.
"Why do you care?
You barely know me."
You could have just moved on after that first night." Cameron leaned forward, his brown eyes serious. "You want the honest answer?"
"Always."
"Because the world has enough people being ignored and overlooked. Because someone as remarkable as you should never feel invisible. Because I've been where you are, in a relationship where I gave everything and got nothing back, and I know how much it hurts."
He paused.
"And because from the moment I saw you crying in that restaurant, I knew I wanted to know you better. Not to steal you away from your husband, but because you're worth knowing." Naomi felt tears sting her eyes.
"You see me?"
"I do. And I always will." They sat in comfortable silence, drinking coffee and watching people pass by outside. It was easy being with Cameron. No pressure, no expectations. Just two people enjoying each other's company. "Tell me about your marriage," Naomi said. "You mentioned being in a similar situation." Cameron's expression clouded. "I was married for 3 years. My ex-wife, Jennifer, was very career-focused. Lawyer, worked 100-hour weeks. I thought I was being supportive by handling everything at home, but she just saw me as her assistant. Someone to make her life easier while she chased partnership. What happened? She got the partnership and asked for a divorce in the same week. Told me I was holding her back. Too traditional, too focused on home and family. She wanted someone who could match her ambition."
"I'm sorry."
"Don't be. It hurt at the time, but now I see it was the best thing that could have happened. We weren't right for each other. She needed someone who would prioritize work above everything. I needed someone who valued the life we were building together. Have you found that someone?" Cameron looked at her steadily. "I'm starting to think I might have." The words hung between them, heavy with implication. Naomi should have shut this down. Should have reminded him she was married. Should have created distance. Instead, she asked, "What do you want, Cameron?"
"Honestly,
I want to get to know you better. I want to be your friend if that's all you need. I want to be more if you ever decide you're ready. But mostly I just want you to be happy, Naomi. Whether that's with Julian if he actually changes, or without him if he doesn't, or someday with someone else entirely. You deserve happiness." "That's a lot of pressure," Naomi said softly.
"No pressure.
"Just possibility."
Cameron smiled.
"Have coffee with me again. Let me take you to lunch sometimes. Go to an art gallery with me. Just spend time together as friends. No expectations beyond enjoying each other's company." It was too tempting. The offer of friendship, of attention, of being valued. Naomi knew she should resist. She was married. But her marriage was a shell and Cameron was offering something real.
"Okay," she said.
"Friends." "Friends," Cameron agreed, though his smile suggested he hoped for more someday. They finished their coffee and walked back toward the community center where they had both parked. As they reached Naomi's car, Cameron said, "Thank you for saying yes. To coffee, to friendship, to giving me a chance to know you better. Thank you for seeing me." She drove home feeling lighter than she had in months. Someone valued her company. Someone wanted to spend time with her. Someone thought she was worth getting to know. The penthouse was empty when she arrived. A note from Rebecca informed her that Julian would be home late again. "Business dinner. Don't wait up." The pattern had already resumed. 2 days of attention and now back to being invisible. Naomi made herself dinner and ate alone at the dining table designed to seat 12. She answered emails from the Children's Hospital about the upcoming fundraiser. She reviewed applications for art scholarships she was helping to judge. Her phone buzzed.
Cameron, thanks for today.
Made my whole week better. Such simple words, but they made her smile. She texted back, mine too. Thank you for being a friend.
Always. Sleep well, Naomi.
She went to bed at 10, reading in the soft lamplight. Julian's side of the bed remained empty. She fell asleep before he came home, if he came home at all. When she woke Tuesday morning, Julian was asleep on the couch in his office, still in his suit. His laptop was open on his desk, emails piling up in the background. Naomi made coffee and left a cup outside his office door. She did not wake him. She did not try to connect. She just left the coffee and went to prepare for her charity luncheon. If Julian wanted to rebuild their marriage, he would have to do more than 2 days of forced attention. He would have to actually change. And she was no longer willing to wait patiently while he decided if she was worth the effort. Cameron had shown her what it felt like to be prioritized, to be seen, to be valued. And now that she knew what that felt like, she could not go back to accepting less. Julian was waiting for Naomi when she returned from the charity luncheon. He had changed into casual clothes, jeans and a maroon sweater she did not remember him owning. He looked nervous.
Hi, he said.
How was the luncheon?
Fine.
Why are you home so early? I canceled my afternoon meetings. I want to spend time with you. Naomi set down her purse. Julian, we already did this. The forced quality time doesn't work if you're just going through motions. I'm not going through motions. I'm trying to show you that you matter.
Why now?
Why after 5 years of ignoring me do you suddenly care? Julian's jaw tightened. Because I don't want to lose you to some other man.
There it is. The real reason.
You're not doing this because you love me or value me. You're doing this because you don't want Cameron to have me.
That's not fair.
Neither is 5 years of loneliness, but here we are. Naomi walked toward her art room. If you'll excuse me, I have work to do.
What work?
What is so important that you can't talk to your husband? She turned back, surprised by his sharp tone. I'm judging applications for the Children's Art Scholarship. 30 kids applied, and I need to help select the 5 who will receive funding. Is that important enough for you? Julian had the grace to look ashamed.
I didn't mean.
You never mean it.
But you say it anyway.
Work is only valuable if it makes money, right? If it's not a board meeting or a business deal, it doesn't matter. I don't think that. You live it every day.
Naomi shook her head.
Julian, if you want to rebuild this marriage, you can't just show up and expect me to be grateful. You have to do actual work. Understand who I am. Value what matters to me. Be present not because someone else is paying attention to me, but because I'm your wife and I deserve your attention.
Tell me how. I'll do it.
Start by going to therapy. Alone first, then together if you're willing. Because this isn't just about spending more time together. This is about you understanding why you checked out of this marriage in the first place. Julian looked stunned. Therapy?
Yes.
Real professionals who can help you figure out why work is more important than your wife. Why you feel comfortable neglecting the person you promised to love and cherish. I don't need therapy. I just need to manage my time better. You need therapy, Julian. This isn't a scheduling problem. This is a priority problem. And I can't fix it for you. She went to her art room and closed the door. Her hands trembled as she spread out the scholarship applications. 30 envelopes, 30 dreams, 30 kids hoping for a chance. Marcus had applied. His application included a portfolio of his work, each piece showing remarkable growth. His essay made Naomi's eyes sting with tears. He wrote about art being his escape from a neighborhood where violence was common and hope was rare. He wrote about Miss Naomi, who believed in him when no one else did. She would fight to make sure Marcus got one of those scholarships. Hours passed. The afternoon light faded to evening. Naomi had narrowed the applications to her top 10 when her phone buzzed. Cameron, how's your day going? She smiled despite her frustration with Julian. Reviewing scholarship applications. It's heartbreaking and inspiring at the same time. So much talent, so little funding. You're doing important work. Those kids are lucky to have you advocating for them. Such simple encouragement, but it filled Naomi with warmth. Someone understood why this mattered to her. Thank you for saying that. Want company? I could bring dinner, keep you company while you work. Or is that inappropriate given the situation? Naomi considered. Julian was somewhere in the penthouse, probably sulking because she would not immediately forgive 5 years of neglect. Cameron was offering friendly support while she did work that actually mattered.
I'd like that.
But maybe not here. Can we meet somewhere?
The cafe from yesterday?
They're open until 9.
Perfect.
Give me 30 minutes. She gathered the applications and her laptop. On her way out, she found Julian in the living room, staring at his phone.
I'm going out, she said. I'll be back later.
Where are you going?
To finish work that matters to me.
With him?
His name is Cameron.
And yes, he's going to keep me company while I review applications. Because he understands that this is important.
Naomi.
Julian stood. You're spending a lot of time with this man. I'm spending time with a friend who values my presence. Something you might consider doing. She left before he could respond. Driving to the cafe, Naomi felt that same mix of guilt and liberation. She was married. She should not be meeting another man. But Cameron was offering something Julian refused to give. Genuine interest in her life. Cameron was already there when she arrived, a table claimed with 2 cups of coffee waiting. He had also brought sandwiches from the deli next door. Figured you might not have eaten, he said.
Hope turkey is okay.
It's perfect. Thank you. They settled in and Naomi spread out the applications. Cameron read through them while they ate, his expression growing more serious with each one. These kids, he said softly. Their stories are incredible.
I know.
And we can only choose 5. It's impossible. Can I help? Maybe my company could sponsor an additional scholarship. Or 2. Naomi looked up, surprised. You do that? These kids need opportunities. And you care about them. That's enough reason for me. She felt tears sting her eyes again. Cameron, that's so generous.
It's not generous. It's right.
He smiled at her. Tell me about the ones you're most excited about. They spent 2 hours going through applications. Cameron asked thoughtful questions, made notes, genuinely engaged with each story. When they finally narrowed it down to the 5 required plus 2 more that Cameron's company would fund, Naomi felt exhausted but satisfied. 7 kids are going to get opportunities they desperately need, she said. That's a good night's work.
You did this, Naomi.
You saw their potential and fought for them. We did this. I couldn't have funded those extra 2 without you. We make a good team.
They did. That was the problem.
Naomi felt more connected to Cameron after 2 weeks than she did to Julian after 5 years. I should get home, she said reluctantly. Julian will be waiting.
Will he be angry?
Probably. But that's his issue, not mine. Cameron walked her to her car. Naomi, I know this is complicated. Your marriage, my feelings, all of it. But I want you to know that I'm not trying to pressure you or complicate your life more than it already is.
I know.
You've been nothing but respectful. I also want you to know that whenever you need someone, I'm here. Friend, support system, whatever you need. No strings attached. She looked up at him, this man who barely knew her but treated her better than her own husband. Why are you so kind to me? Because you deserve kindness. And because being around you makes me happy. He smiled. Drive safe, Naomi. The penthouse was dark when she returned, except for the light from Julian's office. She thought about going to bed without checking on him but decided to face whatever was coming. She knocked on his office door. Julian? Come in. He sat at his desk, several empty glasses beside him. Not drunk but definitely drinking. You were gone a long time, he said, his voice flat.
I was working.
With Cameron's help, we were able to fund 7 scholarships instead of 5. How generous of Cameron.
Yes, it was.
He cares about helping kids who need opportunities. He cares about spending time with my wife. He cares about me as a person, Julian. There's a difference. Julian stood, unsteady on his feet. Are you in love with him? The question hung in the air. Naomi could have lied. Should have lied. But she was tired of pretending. I don't know. I know I enjoy spending time with him. I know he treats me with respect and interest. I know being around him makes me feel valued. She paused. But I also know I made vows to you. Vows I've kept despite 5 years of neglect. So what do you want from me? Julian's voice rose. I'm trying, Naomi. I canceled meetings. I spent time with you. I came home early. What more do you want? I want you to want me. Not because you're afraid of losing me. Not because someone else showed interest. But because I'm your wife and I matter to you. Naomi's voice remained steady. I want you to know my favorite color without having to think about it. I want you to ask about my day because you care, not because you're supposed to. I want a partner, Julian. Not a roommate who occasionally remembers I exist.
That's not fair.
Life isn't fair. Marriage isn't fair. But it should be reciprocal. I've given you 5 years of patience and understanding. You've given me expensive gifts and broken promises. That's not reciprocal.
I love you. Do you?
Or do you love the idea of me? The perfect wife who makes you look good at events and never complains about being ignored. Julian sank back into his chair. I don't know how to be what you need.
Then learn. Get therapy.
Do the work. Figure out why you shut me out and how to let me back in. Naomi moved toward the door. But do it because you want to change, not because you're afraid I'll leave. Real change comes from internal motivation, not external pressure. She left him sitting there and went to bed. Her phone buzzed as she was getting ready to sleep. Cameron, thank you for tonight. Marcus is going to be so excited about the scholarship.
Naomi smiled.
Thank you for making it possible. You're a good man, Cameron Hayes. You bring out the best in people, Naomi Bennett Prescott. Sleep well. She did sleep well, better than she had in weeks. Because for the first time in 5 years she was prioritizing her own needs. She was demanding better. She was refusing to settle. And if Julian could not rise to meet her standards, then maybe it was time to admit their marriage was over. The thought should have terrified her. Instead, it felt like possibility. The next few weeks fell into a strange pattern. Julian tried to be more present, but it was surface level. He came home for dinner twice a week, always distracted by his phone. He asked about her day but did not really listen to the answers. He was performing the role of attentive husband without actually doing the work to become one. Meanwhile, Cameron became a steady presence in Naomi's life. Coffee after volunteering. Lunch when she had free time. Art gallery visits where he listened to her thoughts about technique and meaning. He remembered details. He asked follow-up questions. He showed up. Naomi knew people were talking. Charity event gossip spread fast. Patricia had called twice with thinly veiled warnings about appearances and reputation. Julian's colleagues were probably discussing his wife's friendship with another man. She stopped caring what people thought. Marcus got his scholarship letter on a Wednesday. Naomi was there when he opened it, and his face transformed with joy. His mother cried. His younger siblings danced around the room. I'm going to art school, Marcus kept saying, like he could not quite believe it. Miss Naomi, I'm really going. You're really going, she confirmed, tears streaming down her own face. You earned this, Marcus. Your talent, your hard work, your dedication. This is all you. But you believed in me first. You saw something when no one else did. After the celebration died down, Naomi called Cameron to tell him the news. He was as excited as she was. This is why the work matters, Cameron said. Marcus is going to change his whole life trajectory because someone gave him a chance. Because you gave him a chance. You funded the extra scholarships. We did it together. Like everything is better when we do it together. The words settled warm in Naomi's chest. They did work well together. They balanced each other. Cameron's practical problem-solving complemented her creative vision. His steady presence grounded her emotional nature. They fit in a way she and Julian never had. Cameron, Naomi said carefully. I need to be honest with you about something. Always. I'm falling for you. I've been trying to honor my marriage vows. But the more time I spend with you, the more I realize what I've been missing. You see me. You value me. You make me feel like I matter. Silence on the line. Then, Naomi, I've been in love with you since that first night in the restaurant. Watching you cry over being forgotten, knowing you deserved so much better. I tried to just be your friend, to support you without complicating things. But I'm in love with you. I need to end my marriage. Are you sure? I don't want to be the reason. You're not the reason. Julian is the reason. 5 years of neglect is the reason. You just showed me what I deserve. But I need to do this properly. I need to talk to Julian, make decisions about our life together. She took a breath. I'm going to ask for a separation. I'll support whatever you need. Take your time. Do this the right way for you. That night, Naomi waited for Julian to come home. He arrived at 7 earlier than usual, looking exhausted. We need to talk, Naomi said before he could disappear into his office. Something in her tone made him pause. Okay, let me just... No. We talk now. They sat in the living room, an expensive couch between them like a chasm. I want a separation, Naomi said. No preamble. No softening the blow. Just truth. Julian's face went pale. What? I want a separation. A trial period where we live apart and figure out if this marriage is salvageable.
Because of him.
Because of Cameron. Because of us, Julian. Because we don't have a marriage. We have a legal contract and shared real estate. That's not enough. I've been trying. You've been performing. There's a difference. You come home for dinner but spend the whole meal on your phone. You ask about my day but don't listen to the answer. You're present physically but absent emotionally. I can do better.
Can you? Really?
Because I've been waiting 5 years for you to do better and nothing has changed. The only difference now is you're afraid of losing me to another man. That's not love, Julian. That's possessiveness.
He stood pacing.
So that's it? You're just giving up? I'm not giving up. I'm recognizing reality. We're not happy. We barely know each other anymore. We exist in the same space but we're not partners. What about our vows? For better or worse? What about them? Have you honored your vows? The part about cherishing me? The part about being faithful? At his shocked expression, she continued. Not physically unfaithful, but emotionally unfaithful. Your first love has always been work. I'm a distant second. That's not true. Prove it. Tell me 3 things I'm passionate about that aren't related to you or your career. Julian opened his mouth, closed it, struggled to answer.
You can't, can you?
After 5 years of marriage, you can't name 3 things your wife cares about. Naomi's voice was sad now, past anger into resignation. Cameron could answer that question. He's known me for a few weeks and he understands me better than you do after 5 years. So you are leaving me for him. I'm leaving because I deserve better. Whether that's with Cameron or alone or eventually with someone else entirely, I don't know. But I know I can't keep living like this. Julian sank onto the couch, his head in his hands. I don't want to lose you. You already lost me, Julian. You lost me 3 years ago when you forgot my birthday. You lost me every time you chose a business dinner over our plans. You lost me every time you looked through me instead of at me.
We can fix this. Therapy like you said. I'll go. I'll make time.
It's too late. I'm done waiting for you to decide I'm worth your time.
Naomi, please.
There were tears in his voice now. Don't give up on us. She felt something crack inside her chest, but it was not breaking. It was opening. Like a door that had been stuck shut finally swinging wide. I gave you 5 years, Julian. 5 years of chances. 5 years of patience. 5 years of making myself smaller so I wouldn't be a burden on your precious schedule.
She stood.
I'm done shrinking. I deserve to take up space. I deserve to be someone's priority. And if you can't give me that, then I need to find someone who can. Where will you go? I'll stay in the guest room for now. Then I'll find an apartment. We can work out the details with lawyers.
Lawyers?
He said the word like a curse. You really want a divorce? I want a separation first. Time to figure out if there's anything left to save. But honestly, Julian, I think we both know the answer. She walked away, leaving him sitting there. In her art room, surrounded by canvases and colors, Naomi let herself cry. Not for the marriage ending, but for the years she had wasted hoping for change that never came. Her phone buzzed. Cameron, how are you doing? I asked for a separation. Are you okay?
I will be.
It hurts, but it's the right choice. I'm proud of you. That took courage. She smiled through her tears. Thank you for seeing me, Cameron. For showing me what I deserve. You deserve everything good in this world, Naomi. I hope you know that. She did know. Finally, after 5 years of doubt and diminished self-worth, she knew. Over the next few days, Naomi moved into the guest room. She contacted a lawyer to discuss separation terms. She told Patricia about her decision and endured the woman's disappointment and criticism with calm indifference. Julian tried several times to talk her out of it, but his arguments were always the same. He would do better, she should be patient, they should keep trying. Never, I love you for who you are. Never, I see how I've hurt you. Never, I understand why you need this. The day Naomi signed the lease on a small apartment downtown, she felt lighter than she had in years. It was not much, just a 1-bedroom with good light and space for her easel. But it was hers. Her space. Her choice. Her life. Cameron helped her move her things on a Saturday. Julian was conveniently away on business, making it easier for everyone. Box after box of her belongings, her art supplies, her books, her dreams that had been packed away for too long. This place has good bones, Cameron said, looking around the empty apartment. You'll make it beautiful. It already is beautiful. Because it's mine. He smiled at her, warm and proud. What now? Now I figure out who I am outside of being Julian Prescott's wife.
I paint. I teach. I live. And us.
Naomi looked at this man who had seen her when she was invisible, who had valued her when she felt worthless, who had shown her what genuine care looked like. I need time, she said honestly, to process the end of my marriage, to figure out who I am as just Naomi, not as someone's wife. But I want there to be an us, Cameron. When I'm ready, I'll wait. However long you need. That's not fair to you. It's completely fair because being in your life at all is a gift. Friend, partner, whatever you need me to be. I'm here. She kissed him then, soft and brief. A promise of possibility. 3 months passed. Naomi's apartment transformed into a real home, walls covered with her artwork, shelves full of books she actually wanted to read. She painted more than she had in years, canvases expressing emotions she had suppressed for too long. The separation papers were filed. Julian's lawyer contacted her lawyer with settlement offers. Everything was cordial and professional and sad. Naomi threw herself into her work at the community center. Marcus started art school and came back to volunteer on weekends, inspiring younger kids the way she had inspired him. Sophie's work improved dramatically. Tyler got accepted into a magnet school with a strong arts program. And Cameron was there. Not pushing, not demanding. Just present. They had dinner twice a week. Went to museums. Talked about everything and nothing. He was patient with her healing process, respectful of her need for space. She was falling deeper in love with him every day. Julian, meanwhile, seemed lost. Rebecca reported that he was working even longer hours, throwing himself into deals and acquisitions. Patricia called Naomi regularly, trying to guilt her into reconsidering. You're throwing away a perfectly good marriage over a few rough years. 5 years isn't a few rough years, Patricia. It's a pattern. All marriages have patterns. You work through them. I tried for 5 years. He wouldn't meet me halfway. Julian showed up at her apartment one evening without warning. Naomi almost did not let him in, but curiosity won. I've been going to therapy, he said, standing awkwardly in her living room. Like you suggested. That's good, Julian. I hope it helps you. It's made me realize some things. About my father, about expectations, about using work to avoid emotional intimacy. Naomi gestured to the couch. They sat at opposite ends, the distance between them more than physical. Dr. Matthews says I have avoidant attachment, Julian continued. That I learned early that emotions were inconvenient, so I focused on achievements instead. Work was safer than relationships because you can control work outcomes. That makes sense. I didn't mean to hurt you, Naomi. I genuinely thought I was being a good husband by providing financial security. I thought that was what mattered. I know. But money isn't love. Expensive gifts aren't attention. You gave me everything except what I actually needed. Julian's hands twisted together. Dr. Matthews asked me if I even know you. Really know you. And I had to admit I don't. I married you because you were beautiful and kind and made me feel good. But I never did the work to actually know who you are as a person. No, you didn't. I want to. No. I want to know your favorite color is green. That you volunteer at the community center teaching art. That you care about scholarships for underprivileged kids. That you're passionate about contemporary African American artists. He looked at her. I've been reading about all of it. Trying to understand what matters to you. Naomi felt a pang in her chest, but it was not the hopeful kind. Julian, that's wonderful that you're learning. Really. But it's too late. Is it? Can't I prove I've changed? Change takes time. Years maybe. And I can't wait years to see if you'll actually become the partner I need. I've already waited 5 years. So that's it? You're choosing him? I'm choosing me, Julian. Me and my happiness and my future. Cameron is part of that future, yes. But even if Cameron didn't exist, I would still be leaving. Because our marriage was over long before I met him. Julian's eyes were red. I love you. I know I didn't show it, but I do love you. I believe you. But love isn't enough if it doesn't come with action. You loved me from a distance for 5 years. I need someone who loves me up close. Who sees me every day and chooses me every day. I can be that person now. Maybe you can. For someone else, someday when you've done the work and really changed. But not for me. Too much hurt has happened. Too much neglect. I can't trust that your change is real and not just fear of losing. They sat in silence for a long moment. Outside, the city hummed with life. People living, loving, choosing their own paths. When did you stop loving me? Julian asked quietly. Naomi considered the question. I don't think I stopped. But the love changed. It went from passionate hope to patient waiting to sad acceptance to nothing at all. You can only love someone from a distance for so long before the distance becomes all there is.
I'm sorry. For all of it. For not seeing you. For taking you for granted.
For wasting 5 years of your life.
They weren't wasted. I learned what I need in a partner. What I won't accept.
How to value myself even when others don't.
She smiled sadly.
You taught me important lessons, Julian. Just not the ones you intended. He stood, recognizing there was nothing left to say.
I hope he makes you happy.
I hope he gives you everything I couldn't.
He already does. Every day.
After Julian left, Naomi texted Cameron, "Are you free?
I need to see you."
He arrived 30 minutes later with Chinese takeout and that smile that made her feel warm and safe. Julian came by, she told him over fried rice and spring rolls.
He's in therapy.
He's trying to change. Cameron set down his chopsticks. How do you feel about that?
Sad.
Proud of him for trying. But also certain that it's too late for us.
You're sure? Completely.
Even if he becomes everything he should have been, too much damage has been done.
I can't go back to that marriage.
I don't want to.
Cameron took her hand.
What do you want?
This. A partner who sees me.
Who values my time. Who knows my dreams and supports them. Who shows up not because he's afraid of losing me, but because being with me makes him happy. Being with you makes me incredibly happy.
Then stay. For as long as you want.
Build something real with me. Naomi Bennett, I would love nothing more.
They kissed deeper this time. A promise and a beginning.
6 months into the separation, divorce papers were filed. Julian did not contest them. The settlement was fair. Naomi got enough to live comfortably and pursue her art. Julian kept his company and most of the assets. They divided things with lawyers, never seeing each other, keeping everything professional. Patricia was livid, but Naomi no longer cared about Patricia's approval. Her mother was disappointed, but eventually accepted that her daughter's happiness mattered more than status. Cameron was everything Julian had not been. He showed up for community center events. He helped hang lights for the kids' art exhibition. He sat in coffee shops while Naomi painted, reading and working on his laptop, just enjoying her presence.
They took things slowly.
Naomi was healing from 5 years of emotional neglect, and Cameron understood that healing took time. They had dinner regularly, went to art galleries, took weekend trips to small towns with charming main streets.
He learned her rhythms.
That she needed quiet mornings to paint.
That she got cranky when she was hungry.
That thunderstorms made her feel peaceful. He knew her favorite coffee order, her preferred restaurants, the names of all the kids she taught. Marcus became a regular presence in their lives, often joining them for dinner to talk about art school. Sophie's family invited them to her birthday party. Tyler drew a picture of Miss Naomi and Mr. Cameron as superheroes, which they framed and hung in Naomi's apartment. Naomi felt herself coming alive again. Colors seemed brighter. Music sounded richer. Food tasted better. She laughed easily and often. She felt seen and valued and cherished. Cameron's family welcomed her warmly. His mother, Elena, a warm Puerto Rican woman who ran a bakery, immediately adopted Naomi as another daughter. His sister Rita became a close friend. "He's different with you," Rita told Naomi over coffee one afternoon. "After Jennifer he was so closed off. But you've brought back his joy." "He's brought back mine too," Naomi admitted. The divorce finalized on a cold January morning. Naomi signed the papers in her lawyer's office, Cameron waiting outside with hot chocolate and encouraging smiles. When she walked out, legally free, she felt lighter than air. "How does it feel?" Cameron asked. "Like breathing after holding my breath for 5 years." She took the hot chocolate gratefully. "What now?" "Now we celebrate your freedom. And then we start building our future." He took her to an art gallery opening, one featuring emerging African-American artists. Naomi wandered through the exhibition, studying each piece with the attention it deserved. Cameron followed, listening to her observations, asking thoughtful questions. At the end of the gallery, a sign announced an opportunity. The gallery was accepting submissions for their next show, focusing on themes of transformation and renewal. "You should submit," Cameron said. "I don't know if I'm ready." "Naomi, you're incredibly talented. Your work deserves to be seen." She thought about it. For 5 years with Julian, she had packed away her dreams, convinced they were not practical or important. But they were important. Her art mattered. Her voice deserved to be heard. "Okay," she said. "I'll submit." They spent the next month preparing her submission. Cameron helped photograph her work, matte and frame pieces, write her artist statement. He was patient and supportive, believing in her talent even when she doubted herself. The day she submitted her portfolio, Cameron took her to dinner at a small Italian restaurant. Over pasta and wine he said, "I have something to ask you." Naomi's heart jumped. "Okay." "Not that," he laughed, reading her expression.
Not yet.
"But something important."
He took her hand.
"Naomi, I love you. I've loved you from that first night and I love you more every day. You're kind and talented and strong. You see the best in people. You fight for what matters. You're everything I didn't know I was looking for.
I love you too, Cameron. So much.
I know we've been taking things slow, respecting your healing process. But I'm ready for more. I want you to move in with me. Share a space, share a life. Build something together." Naomi felt tears prick her eyes, but they were happy tears.
Yes.
"I'd love that." They sealed it with a kiss, surrounded by the warm chatter of other diners, the smell of garlic and wine, the feeling of being exactly where they belonged.
Moving in together was easy.
Cameron's house was larger than her apartment, with good light for painting and a spare room that became her studio. They merged their lives smoothly, each respecting the other's space and needs.
Cameron woke early and made coffee.
Naomi painted in the morning light. They had breakfast together, talking about their days ahead. He went to construction sites, she taught at the community center. They came home to each other, shared cooking duties, fell asleep tangled together. It was partnership. Real, genuine partnership. 2 months after moving in, Naomi got the call from the gallery. Her work had been accepted. She would have 4 pieces in the exhibition, and they wanted to feature her as one of the emerging artists to watch. She called Cameron immediately, her voice shaking with excitement.
"They said yes.
They want my work."
"Of course they do.
Your work is brilliant." She could hear the smile in his voice. "We're celebrating tonight. Anywhere you want." They went to the same restaurant where they had first talked, where Cameron had salvaged her terrible anniversary night 5 years ago. It felt full circle somehow, returning to where it all began. "Thank you," Naomi said over chocolate cake, the same dessert they had shared that first night. "For seeing me when I was invisible. For valuing me when I felt worthless. For being patient while I healed. Thank you for letting me in. For trusting me. For choosing to build something real." Cameron reached across the table and took her hand. "Naomi, I know it's soon. I know we said we'd take things slow. But I also know what I want, and I want forever with you." He pulled out a small box. Inside was a ring, simple and beautiful, a green stone set in silver. "It's peridot," Cameron said. "Your favorite color. I know it's not traditional, but nothing about us has been traditional." He smiled. "Naomi Bennett, will you marry me?" Naomi looked at this man who had saved her in so many ways. Who had shown her what love actually looked like. Who had proven every day that she was worth choosing. "Yes," she said, tears streaming down her face. "Yes, absolutely yes." He slipped the ring on her finger and it fit perfectly. Just like them. The wedding was small, just family and close friends. Marcus was there, along with Sophie, Tyler, and a dozen other kids from the community center. Cameron's mother cried happy tears. Naomi's parents beamed with pride. They got married in an art gallery, surrounded by paintings and sculptures and creative expression. Naomi wore a deep green dress that made her feel beautiful and confident. Cameron wore a blue suit that matched his warm eyes. Their vows were simple and honest. Cameron promised to see her every day, to value her dreams, to be her partner in all things. Naomi promised to share her life fully, to trust his love, to build something lasting together. When they kissed, the small crowd cheered. Tyler shouted, "Miss Naomi is married." Sophie threw flower petals. Marcus grinned, proud to see his mentor so happy. The reception was held in the same gallery, everyone mingling among the artwork. Elena had made a 3-tier cake decorated with edible flowers. Rita gave a toast about how Cameron had been waiting his whole life to find someone like Naomi. Marcus spoke about how Miss Naomi had changed his life by believing in him, and how Mr. Cameron had proven that good men exist who support the women they love. As the evening wound down, Naomi stood with Cameron looking at her paintings displayed on the gallery walls. Her transformation series, pieces she had created during and after her divorce, showing a woman emerging from shadows into light. "You did this," Cameron said softly. "You chose yourself. You chose happiness. You chose to believe you deserved more. You helped me see I was worth choosing. You were always worth it. I just had the privilege of reminding you." They danced to soft music, surrounded by people who loved them. Naomi thought about Julian briefly, wondering if he had found peace. She had heard through mutual acquaintances that he was still in therapy, working on himself. She hoped he would find happiness someday, with someone who could love the man he was becoming. But that was no longer her concern. Her focus was on the present, on the man holding her close, on the future they were building together. 6 months later, Naomi's art career was flourishing. Her exhibition pieces had sold, leading to commissions and gallery interest. She was teaching more classes at the community center, and Cameron's company had donated funds to expand the art program. They bought a house together, one with large windows and a separate studio space for Naomi. She painted every day, her work growing bolder and more confident. Cameron expanded his business, taking on projects that gave back to the community. Marcus graduated from art school with honors and got accepted to a prestigious graduate program. At his graduation party, he pulled Naomi aside. "None of this would have happened without you," he said. "You saw potential in a kid from a rough neighborhood and decided I was worth investing in. You changed my whole life." "You changed your own life, Marcus. You did the work. I just opened a door. And Mr. Cameron funded it. You two are the reason I believed I could do this." Watching Marcus accept his diploma, Naomi felt overwhelming gratitude. This was what mattered. Not expensive penthouses or society events. But real connections, real impact, real love. Cameron squeezed her hand. "Proud. So proud. Of him. Of us. Of what we're building." "Speaking of building," Cameron said, a smile playing on his lips, "I have something to tell you." "What?" "The community center called. They want to expand, create a dedicated art wing. They're naming it after you. The Naomi Hayes Art Center." Tears sprang to Naomi's eyes. "Are you serious?" "Completely serious. Your work there, the scholarships, the kids you've inspired. They want to honor that. And I may have donated the funding to make it happen." She threw her arms around him, not caring that they were in public. "You're incredible." "No, you're incredible. I just support your dreams." That was the difference. Julian had ignored her dreams. Cameron championed them. Julian had made her feel small. Cameron celebrated her taking up space. Julian had been threatened by her growth. Cameron was proud of her success. A year after their wedding, Naomi discovered she was pregnant. She told Cameron over breakfast, nervous about his reaction. They had talked about children but had not made concrete plans. Cameron's face transformed with joy. "Really? We're having a baby?" "We're having a baby." He picked her up and spun her around, laughing with pure happiness. "We're going to be parents. Naomi, we're going to be parents." They prepared the nursery together, painting the walls in soft greens and blues. Cameron built the crib himself, taking pride in creating something for their child. Naomi painted murals on the walls, whimsical scenes of gardens and animals. The community center kids were thrilled. Tyler, now 10, declared he would teach the baby to paint. Sophie, 13 and showing serious artistic talent, offered to babysit. Marcus, finishing his graduate degree, promised to be the cool uncle who took the kid to museums. Elena knitted blankets and booties. Rita threw a baby shower that filled their house with love and laughter. Naomi's mother came to stay for a few weeks, mending their relationship through shared excitement about the new baby. Even Patricia sent a gift, a silver rattle that had been Julian's as a baby. The note said simply, "Congratulations. I hope you find all the happiness you deserve." It was an olive branch, and Naomi accepted it with grace. Their daughter, Hope Elena Hayes, was born on a bright morning in May. She had Cameron's eyes and Naomi's smile and a set of lungs that made her feelings very clear. Holding Hope for the first time, Naomi felt overwhelming love. This tiny person, so new and perfect, represented everything good in her life. The courage to choose herself. The faith that she deserved better. The patience to wait for real love. The strength to build something lasting. Cameron looked at his wife and daughter with such tenderness that Naomi felt tears stream down her face. "We made her," she whispered. "This beautiful person who will know she's loved every single day." "Just like you know you're loved every single day," Cameron said, kissing her forehead. "I see you, Naomi. I will always see you." And he did. Through sleepless nights with a newborn. Through Naomi's postpartum struggles. Through the chaos of balancing art career and motherhood. Through every challenge and triumph, Cameron was there. Present, supportive, loving. They taught Hope to paint before she could walk. Her first artwork, abstract handprints in bright colors, hung in Cameron's office. She grew up in the community center playing with the kids Naomi taught, learning that art and kindness mattered. On Hope's first birthday, they threw a party at the newly opened Naomi Hayes Art Center. The kids from over the years attended, many now teenagers or young adults, all thriving because someone had believed in them. Marcus, now teaching art at a university, gave a speech about Miss Naomi's impact. She didn't just teach us to paint. She taught us to believe in ourselves. She showed us that where we come from doesn't determine where we can go. She proved that kindness and hope and love can change lives. Naomi stood with Cameron and Hope, surrounded by the community they had built together. This was success. Not bank accounts or stock portfolios. But lives touched, dreams supported, love given and received freely. That evening, after everyone had gone home and Hope was asleep in her crib, Naomi and Cameron sat on their back porch watching the sunset. "Do you ever regret it?" Cameron asked. "The years with Julian. The pain you went through." Naomi considered the question carefully. "I regret the pain. But I don't regret the journey. Those years taught me what I needed. They showed me my strength. They prepared me to recognize real love when it showed up in a restaurant offering chocolate cake." Cameron laughed, pulling her close. "Best chocolate cake I ever bought. Best anniversary I ever had, even though it started terribly. Everything good that's happened started that night. Our life. Hope. All of it traced back to you being brave enough to accept kindness from a stranger. And you being kind enough to offer it." They sat in comfortable silence, watching the sky turn from orange to pink to purple. Hope made soft sounds through the baby monitor. Inside their home, the walls were covered with Naomi's art and Hope's handprints and photos of their growing family. This was happiness. Real, sustainable, everyday happiness. Not dramatic or flashy. Just two people who saw each other clearly, chose each other daily, and built a life on mutual respect and genuine love. Naomi had learned the hardest way that being loved was not enough if that love was not demonstrated through action. That expensive gifts could not replace genuine attention. That status and money meant nothing without connection and partnership. She had learned that she was worth more than being invisible. That her dreams mattered. That she deserved to take up space in her own life. And most importantly, she had learned that love should not diminish you. Real love, the kind worth having, made you more yourself. It celebrated your growth. It supported your dreams. It showed up every single day, not with grand gestures but with consistent, reliable presence. Cameron was that kind of love. And Naomi had been brave enough to choose it. Years later, when Hope asked about how her parents met, they would tell her the truth. About a sad woman in a restaurant and a kind man who noticed. About the importance of seeing people who feel invisible. About the courage it takes to demand better. About the patience required to build something real. "The most important thing," Naomi would tell her daughter, "is to know your worth. Never let anyone make you feel invisible. Never accept less than you deserve. And when real love shows up, be brave enough to reach for it. Even if it's scary?" Hope would ask. "Especially when it's scary. The best things in life require courage." And Hope would grow up knowing she was seen, valued, and loved. She would know that kindness mattered more than status. That genuine connection trumped expensive gifts. That love was demonstrated through action, not just words. She would never have to learn these lessons the hard way, because her parents had already learned them and built a life that reflected those truths. That was the real happy ending. Not just Naomi finding love but breaking a cycle. Not just escaping an unhappy marriage but building a healthy one. Not just surviving but thriving. And teaching the next generation that they deserved nothing less. On quiet evenings, when Hope was asleep and the world was peaceful, Naomi would sometimes think about the woman she had been 5 years ago. Crying in that restaurant, feeling worthless and invisible, convinced that expensive necklaces were the best she could hope for. She would think about how far she had come. How much she had grown. How brave she had been to choose herself. And she would be grateful. For the pain that taught her strength. For the neglect that showed her what she actually needed. For Cameron, who saw her when she was invisible and loved her into visibility. Most of all, she would be grateful for her own courage. For demanding more. For refusing to settle. For believing, even in her darkest moments, that she deserved better. Because she did deserve better. Everyone does. And that was the story she would tell. Not just to Hope, but to anyone who felt invisible. Anyone who was accepting less than they deserved. Anyone who needed permission to choose themselves. You are worth seeing. You are worth choosing. You deserve love that shows up. Never forget that.